with Every REI Tool. My name is Nathan. EveryREITool.com is the most comprehensive and complete catalog and inventory of tools, resources, podcasts, YouTube videos for real estate investors and professionals. And today I'm super excited to be joined by founder Greg of Tractic.io, an asset management platform that I just recently discovered. So I'm particularly excited and curious to hear more about it. Greg, how you doing today?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So typical format for those who know, but let's hop into a few questions before we go into a demo and talking about promo codes and discounts and all this stuff at the end. Greg, why don't you kick us off? So what is Tractic? What is Tractic.io? What's the elevator pitch?
To put it simply, in a 2 to 3 second blurb, Tractic is aiming to be the best in class for real estate owners, investors, and landlords in asset management, hyper niche specifically into asset management. A fuller elevator pitch, if I may, is pretty simple to those of you listening. If you are a real estate investor, owner, landlord, if I'm a gambling man, I'm betting that you are more than likely using a spreadsheet to assess how your real estate deals are performing. If you're listening to this, very simple question of your rating, how you would rate how your method of managing your portfolio is performing, right? Whether it's out of 10 or out of 5, but my data will show our team that 73% of you assess your method of managing your real estate portfolio as unsatisfactory. Further, over 60% of you assess your level of understanding of how your real estate is performing as unsatisfactory as well. Again, that's over 60% of you assess your level of understanding of how your deals are performing within your portfolio as unsatisfactory, and 73% of you assess your method, as in the spreadsheet that you're more than likely using, as unsatisfactory in assessing how your deals are performing. That's more or less direct to consumer from a B2C aspect for a platform like ours. There's a problem with real estate investors today, and for our team to wide brush stroke, again, just assess that you're more than likely, over 70% of you are using a spreadsheet. I know I was, and I would tell you that money in, money out tracking, simple metrics like that, it's probably not doing a great job of assessing how your deals are performing, and Tractic's here to help.
Yep, and I would absolutely get in on that bet that as a real estate investor, you are using a spreadsheet, because that's a pretty safe one. How about maybe a second question here? Who is this for? So you said it's for investors, but who is this tool typically for? Is there a particular profile or user persona in the investor space that you are targeting or building this tool for?
Down the road, Tractic is for anybody who is investing in real estate, and that's a hard stop. It's for anybody that is investing in syndication as a limited partner or a general partner. It could be mobile homes, it could be self-storage. It does not matter to our team. A more direct answer, especially for where we are as a platform, it's pointed more so to the single family mom and pop landlord or investor. So we're basing the program the platform as it stands today for people who own approximately 25 or less stores, to get a better idea and especially from accountability measure of how your portfolio is truly performing with more near real data, is what we like to call it.
Yeah, awesome. So for me, basically, I'm going to start using this real soon after this demo. And the flip side of that question is, and maybe you already kind of answered it, but is there a persona or an investor that this tool is not for?
Yeah, so I would say out of the 70% of us, the 70% of you who, statistically speaking, are using spreadsheets, if you love your spreadsheet, and I am for those that I've been consulting over the past almost 6 years, I can tell you that nobody sends out more surveys than me. I can be quite obnoxious. It's a big deal for how I run my business and how we've developed Tractic. But what I would tell you is the people that fill out the survey that out of a rating out of 5, for example, if 70% of you are using your spreadsheet and you're rating to answer a simple question of how do you feel as if your spreadsheet is performing, essentially, or how do you feel your level of your deals are performing, your grasp of that, rather, out of 5. If you have a 4 or 5 out of 5 rating for both of those questions, how your spreadsheets are performing, and your level of understanding is a 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 5, then stay with it. Stay with your spreadsheet. Microsoft Office is fantastic. That is for you. But the hundreds, if not thousands, of data points that I've pulled over the past 3 years will very simply tell us that the vast majority of people who respond to that question rate it a 3, a 2, or 1.
Wow.
Out of 5. And that just tells me, especially with taking into consideration the amount of investable capital that's kind of sent down range every single year, approximately the median price is right around $75,000. That's sent year over year of investable capital down range to deals. For our team to assess that, hey, you have a 3, a 2, or 1 understanding of how your deals are performing out of 5, that's unacceptable to our team.
Not good.
And we've essentially tried to bridge that gap and solve that problem.
Awesome. And I mean, I like to ask this question, when we do these demos and interviews here, because, obviously Tractic is a tool. There are others in the space, right, that do very similar things, or there are other asset management solutions out there. What would you say Tractic does better than, the competition, or better than the other tools out there?
Appreciate it, because that was one of the reasons I even leaned into developing a platform like this, because I was using other platforms, and they're incredibly good at what they do for different kind of avenues or approaches for investors or owners or landlords. So when I reference the hyper niche associated with what we do at Tractic, again, it is asset management. We're not an accounting platform. We're not a bookkeeping service. We're not a property management firm. Our idea, as it stands today, this is a B2C SaaS platform with the applicable method to eventually go from B2C to B, right? So point being is other platforms out there do rent collection, tenant screening, different accounting measures that is well advanced into what we're doing at Tractic, even syncing with your business bank accounts to as best as possible, depending on the fintech securities associated with the cybersecurity space. With Tractic, what we're doing is better than anybody is asset management, pulling the data directly from owner statements. I would tell you my case study, at least, and hopefully this kind of speaks volumes to those who are using different property management platforms or other asset management platforms in our space, competitors in our space. When I would log on to these other platforms, and I own 3 rental properties, well, 2 of them would sync with the platform. 2 of them would sync, and then 1 of them would not. It would ask me to plug in my username. Of course, I forgot my password. When I got my password in, I had to authenticate myself. It sent me a code. I plugged in the code, and it spun, and it spun, and it spun, and it never registered me properly. I would sign in, sign out, come back in. Well, at the end of the day, we're looking at maybe 15, 20 minutes of my time that I don't have that much time as per bandwidth in the business that I'm running as I build Tractic kind of as a side gig for what we're developing. This is a large bet for my team, and we believe in what we're going with Tractic, but we're financing it through other methods. Point being is that 15 or 20 minutes is gold to me. And after 15 or 20 minutes, when it doesn't load properly, when I'm looking how my portfolio is performing, really I'm getting a vague picture of how 2 deals are performing, but that 3rd deal is moot. It's invalid data. It's essentially thrown out to the wind. So I just burnt 15 minutes of my time. I don't really know what's going on in my portfolio because those numbers didn't load properly. So we took that and we assessed it and said, hey, we're gonna parry that with essentially a white glove concierge service where our team will perform the bookkeeping service on the user's behalf. We'll upload your transactional data, no matter how long you could have bought a property in 2013, and we'll upload a decade and a half worth of transactional data as per like money in or money out, mortgages, property management, maintenance reports. We'll upload all of that on your behalf as a user. That is going to be a horrible day for our team, but it is what it is. It's the way that we've designed the business model. That doesn't give you a kind of clear picture. It gives you as close a near real picture as to the actual accounting measures associated with a single property, and if you scale that out appropriately, pulling directly from the owner statements or directly from what the owner inputs into Tractic, there is no platform out there that is painting a more clear picture.
I love it, and awesome. So before we hop into the demo piece here, as always, people are always interested in understanding, the cost associated with a platform like this. What's the price point on this solution?
Sure. So we ran it from a low, medium, high perspective. So we have what we'll call rookie, pro, and all-star level subscriptions. From the low tier or rookie, that'll run $49.99 per month. The medium scale or pro will run $74.99 per month, and then the high all-star level, which comes with a white glove concierge service, is the bookkeeping aspect of it. That'll run $149.99 per month. The cool piece about this is no matter which tier you select in between Rookie or Pro, you're going to get 50% off your first 2 months. So essentially, you're going to get your first month free, or one of those months free if you summarize the total there, and then after essentially a 60-day trial, you'll be charged the full amount going into the subscription. With the All-Star subscription level, especially listening to this recording and watching the demo, you're going to get a discount code applied through every real estate tool, real estate investing REI tool, EveryREITool.com. You'll have an applicable discount code for you, so you can also receive 50% off your first 2 months when subscribing to All-Star. All-Star is the $149.99 subscription rate that we want to protect as best as possible, because there's a lot of accounting, bookkeeping, servicing that goes into that. That's manually applied, but again, we can offer a discount code just by being a member of this network.
Awesome. I love it. I appreciate that. So why don't we hop into the demo here? Can you maybe start sharing your screen and let's look at this solution.
Absolutely.
Super excited.
Sure. Go into screen. Sure, I can take you guys right into it. So we'll start from the website. Again, we are at www.tractic.io. This will take you to an initial look of our website. It's actually undergoing a facelift as we speak. Your subscription tiers are in the pricing model here. Again, Rookie, Pro, and All-Star plans, and it kind of lists out the benefits of each plan. You're going to get your discounts for the first two, and then with a applicable discount code, you can also get it 50% off your first 2 months with the All-Star plan. Going directly into the demo, we'll just look at my dashboard. If you guys promise not to rob me, we'll look to authenticate with Google. And we'll hop into my rental portfolio. So we're looking at 2 long-term buy and hold deals. Both of these are out of Tennessee, and then there's a short-term rental that's in San Diego, California.
So this is your actual portfolio. This is not mock data or anything like that.
This is my actual portfolio, and I also ask for the viewers to not mock my month-over-month cash flow. We're in the process of addressing this, and because of Tractic, I was able to assess this. But I also want to add a couple of notes here as per the value proposition. So first and foremost, if not the primary functionality of Tractic, and it's something that I failed to mention during an elevator pitch, but something that we want to do a better job of assessing is this notion of residual or passive income, right? The idea, especially during a demo like this, is we talk about passive income and people think it's easy, it's passive, right? You pay your mortgage, the renters pay your rent, you get the appreciation and depreciation, the tax benefits of this, and you get the delta, and it's cash flow. It's easy as pie. For anybody who actually owns rental properties, you surely know it's not that easy, right?
Yep.
Like, hopefully your spreadsheet is doing a good enough job, and if it's not doing a good enough job, give Tractic a try, give it a look, see if it helps, because for us, when we talk about a passive income goal, easy acronym there, we call it your PIG. And this is your PIG as it stands today. And yes, of course, we developed it so the closer you get to your your passive income goal, 25, 50, 75, 100%, this PIG will indeed get fatter and greener. But you set your passive income goal and the timeline in which you want to reach your passive income goal here under your profile, under settings. You will run right into that when you log into the platform. But holistically, again, I would show you, so here's your dashboard. Ignore, if you will, for the demo purposes, this platform icon here. This is just for admin owners. That's where I developed and add in the formulas associated with your dashboard and the KPIs. Everything else is true to form for what you'll see on Tractic. So really, really simple. I was telling Nathan when we got started, it's something I joke about, but it's not really a joke when I say I can be quite the caveman. So we want to keep this stupid simple, meaning you log into Tractic, you have obviously your dashboard, you have your contacts hub, your major systems, or your capital expenditure items listed all together for your portfolio, your documents hub, your reporting functionality, and then our catch-all is education, where we'll have our newsletter, articles, blogs, demos, partnerships, and affiliations, all located under education. As you hit your dashboard, again, starting with your PIG, your passive income goal, it's a huge deal to us. Maybe you want to see a different listing as per how your dashboard is listed out. We'll have the ability for you to kind of shift and shape which 8 primary KPIs you see, and if you like others, You can always scroll right or left, or we're going to add in the functionality for you to pull, for example, your portfolio cap rate, a total loan amount, and pull it off to the default setting here, so you can see those 8 KPIs when you have a look. Better yet, you don't want to see them, you can always roll up your dashboard KPIs. Something as per a key functionality and a number 1 or number 2 value proposition when we talk about this platform at Tractic that I don't see many competitors out there doing is our ability to assess and ascertain how you thought a rental property or an investment was going to perform against how it's actually performing. So we work actuals versus forecasted amounts, or assumptions versus actuals, if you will. Okay, so that's another section of your dashboard as we're seeing here. You can break this down annually, month over month, total forecast as per when you purchase an investment property. But if I break this down month over month and I focus on a particular property, here's an investment property I own in Tennessee. You got your dummy card here, so you have your actual and your big bold number here. You have the percentage delta, and then you have your estimated amount. So for month over month forecast for this investment property, I thought my cash flow month over month was approximately going to be $562, and I can show you where that number came from. Excuse me, let me try again. I thought my cash flow was going to be $583, and I can show you where that number came from. However, the actual transactional data will show me with the inputs into the platform is I'm achieving $561. That's approximately a 4% delta, and that goes for your maintenance, your mortgage, your rent, and then your rent calculated with vacancy. The cool part about it for cavemen like me is we give you a visual depiction of how the data is performing with your assumptions versus your actuals. So when you go to enter in a property for your Tractic account, when you log in and you enter a rental property, we'll ask you some simple key metrics. Right now, we're just baseline metrics. We want to receive as much data as possible, especially in our MVP stage, to better assess what kind of metrics that users want to see, and then pull it from a larger conglomerate. So right now we're going to ask you for your estimated cash flow annually, your estimated maintenance annually, and then the estimated vacancy. And you can see these metrics listed here. But right now, let's focus on cash flow. If I want to look at this property, let's say if we're recording this in June 2023 and I want to run this as per a year-over-year estimate, we're recording this in July 2023 and I received my last statement in June. We want to run this as an annual overview. Well, this, Nathan, no joke, is 3 lines, or rather 3 full data points as per how this property has, no joke, performed. Okay, so I have my expectation, which we saw up here, was going to be $583, okay? And then you have our month over month, so 12 months from June 2022 to June 2023, because I haven't yet received my July statement, right? I'm going to receive that early August. Every single month when my reporting is added in, from money in, like the rents received, to money out, like the mortgage or utility expenses or any maintenance or repairs, you can see how this unit performed over time. What that develops is this blue line. Okay, so the name of the game here, just to keep it stupid simple, is how close can you get your blue line to that dark gray line, your expectation. In this case, this property is outperforming my expectation, at least over the past year. My average cash flow on this property is $601, whereas my expectation, at least over the last year, again, was $583. There are very few platforms out there that are showing this type of visual depiction of the data. I'll take it one step further, and I'll show you if I purchase this property in 2018, and I'll make it to the most current date, again, is June 2023. Here's a larger scale idea of how this property has performed. And you can see a dip here this is in August 2021, where my cash flow was negative $1,600. My expectation was $583. Again, you can see the delta was essentially $2,200 is what I lost that month on this deal. However, this is real estate. You can see the ebbs and flows, the peaks and valleys associated with real estate. But again, the name of the game, you can zoom in. You want to get that blue line as per the average created from these green dots every single month over month transaction. They will create this solid blue line for you, giving you an idea of, no joke, how the deal is performing against your assumption of how the deal is performed. So this is a holistic overview from the day approximately, I believe I bought this in the summer of 2018, so I just went January 2018 to the most recent account or transactional data that I input into this platform. And this is a clear picture of how this property I own has performed. You have your property cards here. These property cards will show up when you first create a Tractic account and you log in, you subscribe, the first thing we're going to ask you to do is to input an investment property. Okay, Tractic is, as it stands today, is not exactly useful unless you input a rental property in here. So we'll give this a shot, and let's say we're going to enter in here 990 Fox Run, and this will be in.
All right, we just had a few technical difficulties here, but I think we're back. Greg, you were showing us how to add properties.
Correct. Yep. So the first thing that we're going to look to do when you're a new user. So again, as per the demo, we're looking over my actual Tractic dashboard. The idea behind it is it gives you a better idea of how the dashboard will function, and then we'll get into each property card just for demo purposes. But pretending as if I'm a brand new Tractic user and I sign in, the first thing that you'll see pop up is actually asking you to add an investment or add a property. And it's going to pop up like this. A couple wizard forms that'll pop up here allowing you to specifically allocate the details associated with your investment, right? Like I'll plug in a dummy address in here, and this will be in Olive Branch, Mississippi. That's you. Okay, and this is the general, right? We'll set the default name for your property, but maybe you want to say this is my sister's rental, okay, that you're managing for her, whatever you want to call it, okay, and this is going to be a single family home. You have the details associated with this property, but as you plug in the details associated with the property, you can also plug in the rental type. So if it's a short-term rental, or it's a long-term rental, if it's a syndication, and your stance on the property. Again, as we make iterative improvements to the platform, you'll see some of the data that we're looking to source from you as the owner and the investor, or someone on your team, for example. You'll start to see some of the questions essentially and dynamically change as per, for example, if we're a short-term rental, we'll be asking you for the ADR. In this case, for demo purposes, let's just say it's a standard buy and hold deal. It's one unit. If we're multiple units, or let's say you're house hacking and you want to add in different bedrooms or different pieces of the home, maybe a detached additional dwelling unit, or an ADU, you can always add an additional unit here or using this button. Property details, again, you can call it whatever you'd like to call it, but in this case, the cash flow, I think it's going to be $3,000 per year. The annual maintenance, let's say, I believe is going to be $700, and the vacancy, let's add that to be, I think it's going to be approximately 10%. Okay, property management, you can add in the security deposit information. The anticipated monthly rent, let's say, is going to be $1,200 per month, and it starts today and ends a year from now. Okay. The details associated with this property, you can pull a lot of this information from online, but the idea behind it, if you're kind of already gauging what this can do for you, is you don't need to go find this information from a mortgage or banking website or a Dropbox folder or Google Drive link. All of that can and should reside in one platform, and that is also something that Tractic can function as, almost as a reporting or documents hub. So the purchase details associated with this property, how much you purchased it, what the appraised value for the property was, the land value if you have it. If not, it's not mandated. Does this property reside within a business entity? Yes or no. We have just about all of the options here listed for you. If it resides within an LLC, you can list it and filter it accordingly. Taxes, how much you're paying annually, the last property tax assessment, the insurance details, who is your insurance provider, right? Details that you don't have to go digging for, especially during tax season. You can always find this information here in your documents hub or the reporting functionality of Tractic. Property management details, who's managing it, what's the property management percentage. So let's say it's 10% and it's managed by, let's say it's managed by Nathan. And then any details associated with this property. So like submit, and then you'll see this property pop up right here. So here's my long-term rental in Olive Branch, Mississippi. Plug into this card, you click right in here, and then it's just a few tabs. Again, the number one data point, as I was discussing with Nathan earlier, the number one data point we source as per what owners and investors and landlords look for when it comes to a platform like this, an asset management platform, is an intuitive, simple design layout. And we believe we've done this in Tractic, made it as intuitive as possible in a caveman functionality that I believe in. So all of the information associated with that rental property can be listed here. Okay, the details associated with that property, everything from you can scroll as associated with the unit, but if you scroll right or left, you can see the year it was built, when it was in there, how long you've owned the property, obviously your anticipated cash flow, and further details associated with when your insurance deductible will end, when a lease will expire. You'll also get a 90, 60, and 30-day reminder, whether the method you want to receive that information is via text message, push notification, or email. You can receive those notifications as well. We head into the forecast tab. This is a huge again, as I mentioned earlier, on your dashboard, but when it comes to a particular property, it's not going to auto-populate right here because we haven't added actual transactions, but very few, if any, platforms out there are giving a near real or clear depiction as to how you thought the investment property was going to perform versus how it's actually performing. You go to transactional data. This is obviously where the majority of your fight will be had when associated with this property. So it doesn't matter if you purchase this property in January 2023 or January 2013. We would ask that you do the best you can to input all of the data into your transactional details. Further, if you don't want to do that, again, there's the All-Star subscription tier that you can just simply have the Tractic team do that for you on your behalf. Our team will be happy to do that. Contacts tab, imagine again you have your property manager, maybe the loan officer you worked with, maybe the insurance coverage or group that you're using to work with this property. When you input these individuals onto this platform, you can email them, you can text them directly from a platform. They all live specifically listed for this property on one tab. Another top 5 value proposition out there that not a lot of platforms are doing or have to do with the capital expenditures, major systems, and the tracking associated with the life expectancy there. I can go over that in a moment. Documents Hub, and then the financing details. So Nathan, something I wanted to tackle quickly. So if you, let's say you bank finance this deal, your interest rate on it at the moment, let's say it's 7.25. Your original loan amount was, let's say 500,000, and I put, let's say 50,000 down, and I owe 450,000. My mortgage month over month, let's say, is 500, 360 months. Financed with, let's say, Greg's bank, and then seller is Nathan. No HELOC on the property, obviously. And then if you hit over to the details tab again, we can automate your amortization schedule here for you, whether you want to see it in a table view. Or whether you want to see it in a visual depiction. And mind you, okay, I know we can't show it to you right now, but every single month-over-month transaction that you input into the transactional tab, your amortization schedule will dynamically update as well. Awesome. So if we head over to a rental property, for example, so here's a key point for the demo that I don't love to show, Nathan, because this property was performing well for many years, and by many years I mean 2. And then for about a year and a half, I got my butt kicked. So this is a rental property that I own in San Diego. So just for speed-intensive purposes, I would tell you I had it as a long-term rental for 2 years. I self-managed it. You can see in 2020 and 2021, the property management fee is 0. 2022, I made the decision to transition it into a short-term rental, and in 2023 as well. And you can see it has not gone too well for me. Let me refresh these. There you go. Sorry. You can see in these 2 years, back-to-back years, it has not gone too well for me. So in 2020 and 2021, it cash flowed almost 8,000 year over year. So in 2020, it was approximately 7,500, and in 2021, it was about 8,000. 2022, there's a large turnover here to get the property ready for short-term renters. Now in 2023, as we're halfway through the year, you can see, Nathan, I'm almost there. I'm almost net positive for this investment property. But the idea that I would want people to see, because I don't shy away from this. In fact, I made a emotionless decision. I made a data-driven decision to transition this property as of August 1st into a long-term rental. Because again, here are, no joke, the month-over-month transactional data associated with this property that has been manually input either by myself, or I would upload it to the Documents Hub and allow my Tractic team to upload it on my behalf as an All-Star subscriber administrator. But if I say, hey, let's plug into March 2023, let's see how this deal performed, you have each transaction depiction listed for you. You have money in, money out, the property management fee, and it's summarized for you if you want the details associated with a maintenance report or utilities expense or anything like that. If you go into edit the transaction, you can see it's listed for you accordingly with however much data you want to input here. So for example, here's a maintenance report. You can download the picture of this particular item. You can set it specifically for a transaction that happened on a particular month, so you never forget. Obviously you own these properties long term. Some of you, the idea is that you can always look back and see how this has performed.
Yeah.
Broad brushstroke again when we look over forecasts associated with this rental property. So this is my short-term rental in San Diego that's about to be a long-term rental. What I would show you is let's take a look at this thing from June to June, right, year over year, and see how it's performed. And if you want to see erratic behavior, this is erratic behavior, ladies and gentlemen.
That's short-term rentals right there.
Yes, sir. And let's take, and I'm glad you said that, because I don't really need to depict it any further than what Nathan just said. My expectation is up here. I figured, given my data point, let's stay up top for an annual forecast. I figured in 2023 this thing was going to cash flow $5,500. My maintenance approximately for the year is going to be $2,500, and given it's a short-term rental, my vacancy roughly was going to be 40%. So you can see the actual number, the real number, is I'm losing. I've lost, as per an annual performance, $3,200, and I was estimating $5,500. That's 160% lower than it was expected to perform, right? So if you break that down, divided by 12, essentially $5,500, you're going to get your expectation of approximately $460, whereas my average over this time span, over the last year, from June to June 2022 to June 2023, my average is approximately negative $2,500, right, with each transaction. However, you go back to when this property performed as a long-term rental up until, let's say, May 2022, and this is how it performed as a long-term rental. You have your ebbs and flows associated with real estate, but Nathan, this is why going into August 2022, or rather August 2023, I've made the decision to transition it back into a long-term rental. Just looking at this data point, and then you can even, let's stretch this out holistically to the most recent statement until June, and now you get a really clear idea of where this fall off happened. Right here, obviously this is a turnover. I'm happy to throw out this data point as an outlier, and then you can see over time there were some good months, but overall you can see that my average has now dipped below my expectation as this property over time. Mm-hmm. And that's where obviously I don't want that to happen. That can't happen as a real estate investor. It adds a lot of stress and unnecessary pressure, especially on your pocketbooks. Thus, the decision, no emotion tied to it, just looking at a data set just like this of the actual transactional reporting for a property like this, I made the decision to transition it back into a long-term rental as of next month, and we're very excited.
Awesome. No, this is a super powerful, super clean tool. I love it.
The last piece and then I will shut up. So couple things to hopefully show off here is so the capital expenditure items. So if I go into, let's go back into something like my rental property in Tennessee. I go into capital expenditure items. So here I am tracking as best as possible when the roof was installed, my HVAC was installed, the water heater and the appliances, the major systems associated with it. So this gives you a data set as it stands today of my expectation of how these roofs will, how these major systems will last. So you can see for something like a roof in Tennessee, my expectation is that I have, for this roof, I have 40% of life left remaining of lifespan remaining on this roof. Same thing for something like my water heater. There's almost 80% of life left. My HVAC, not so hot. I have approximately 10% left on that HVAC. This gives you an idea as an owner, as a landlord, to start to prepare associated with the cash flow with this property and the CapEx that you're setting aside to replace something like an HVAC when we're estimating that this thing could kind of die out here in about 15 years or so, and it's lived almost just about 14 years. The idea is that it doesn't shock you, it doesn't surprise you, because Tractic helps you assess this, and you can set the notifications for your respective account as per accountability measures to let you know when you have 25% life remaining, you have 10% life remaining, 5% life remaining, so you can kind of start to prep you for how these things are going to perform. Better yet, the big picture, my large kind of founder scale bet associated with Tractic is that we can actually pull, depending upon your subscription tier, we can start to pull data from other users. The concept here is we have assessed, especially in a market like Memphis, Tennessee, where this property resides, the average lifespan for an HVAC is approximately 15 years of some change. given the data that we'll pull directly from owners using Tractic, maybe it's closer to 13 years. And we can add that tool, we can add that estimate for you as Tractic used on here as a recommendation. You're obviously welcome to add anything you want. And then from a reporting functionality, so this is something where I mentioned earlier, we don't want to be an accounting software, we don't want to be a bookkeeping service, but Nathan, we can do some of that stuff. We can absolutely replace some of the methodology there, some of the processes there, where I don't want to upset the bookkeepers out there, but depending upon how well, for example, you like Tractic, as it stands right now, we're going to have 101 different reporting functionalities, but for now, we're looking at 3 super powerful
very
reports that you can
ones,
generate.
but are most used.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yes, sir. So we have your P&L statement, you have your net cash flow. We're already in the process of developing maintenance and reporting functionality as well. But your home run hitters right here as per your Schedule A. So anything that you do in Tractic, you can export transactions in a CSV, an Excel file, and it also, imagine 99% of your CPAs are using QuickBooks. You can download it also in the QuickBook format. Imagine you download a Schedule E. It is automated with the associated details for your portfolio broken down in accordance with your state, right? You own 3 properties in Tennessee and 1 in Alabama. Well, the properties in Tennessee are all going to be on one Schedule E. 3 properties maximum there, and then another Schedule E with your property in Alabama. It'll download with all of the transactional information needed automated onto your Schedule E. You can download in QuickBooks format with everything with the exception of your EIN or your social security number, whatever you want to input there. Imagine, again, just forwarding that message over to your CPA. It's done for you. It's just automated in Tractic. You can break it down in accordance with year over year or a particular tax year. This dynamically updates with the actual IRS form in accordance with your Schedule E as well. We have some examples here, but at any point,
awesome.
For example, if you're working with a bookkeeper, if you're working with somebody on your team, if you want to export data, you can always go to a not so hot investment property like my short-term rental in San Diego, hit over to transactions, and you can always export it right here as a CSV Excel file. It lives in your formatting here, but depending on where you want to start and end the transactions, you can also include receipts and attach the documents for any pictures, reporting, documentation, anything like that lives within that export.
Awesome, Greg. Well, this is an awesome tool, very complete, seemingly very easy to use. I want to be mindful of your time here and get you out of here. Really appreciate you spending the time and showing us this awesome product. And like I said, I look forward to getting my hands on it and giving it a try. And for everyone else who's listening, as always, we'll put links and promo codes and discounts and whatnot in the show notes. Greg mentioned it earlier, but if you want 50% off your first couple months of the All-Star plan, use promo code EveryREITool. Greg, thank you so much for your time today, and I look forward to having you back on when we see version 3, 4, and 5 of this product.
Thank you, Nathan. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.